would not be a hard thing to fight, and I don't think Namco's in a position to fight most of the people who are doing it at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, it was, but you're forgiven.
Okay, thank God.
I mean, I'm not too familiar with the rest of Data East's early stuff, but certainly one of their earlier big hits was Burger Time, which was probably the best one of that early era.
Bump and Jump too.
Burning Rubber, Bump and Jump. I'll tell you
I
what,
like that game.
I like the NES version much better. It's a much better game.
I played the what
I think I played the Commodore version.
I played in television or the VCS version. I don't remember. Yeah, I think it was only on one of them, and I played whichever one it was on.
I think the Commodore one had like Ode to Joy in the background, which was very strange.
Ode to Joy. God, Bump and Jump was it was a top-down racer, right? Where you jump. Okay, yeah, I played that in a like a bar arcade back when I lived in Michigan.
Jumping cars, my favorite mechanic in any game.
I know you love Blaster Master.
Yeah.
You love Mass Effect.
Your thing is grappling hooks. Yes, I love jumping cars.
And Jetpack Goonies.
Yes, Jetpack Goonies. Well, that's ours now.
Oh, are we a team? That's great.
I thought Bump and Jump was great. It was like a precursor to Demolition Derby type stuff.
Yeah, it is a really cute game.
You're smashing cars into the side.
But if you want to talk about like early Data East games that were actually worth a damn, I think Karate Champ is the first one that comes to mind.
I don't know. I liked Burger Time.
Burger Time was
all right. It was kind of like Amador.
In retrospect, it's very much of the Donkey Kong derivative school of game design, but that's okay because it was a little less obvious than something like Kangaroo.
It's kind of more complicated because you've almost got like
it's kind of Donkey Kong meets the falling object strategy of Dig Dug,
because it's got practically got chaining mechanics, and it's got a multiplier for like number of dudes that you smash in the burgers as they fall, and
also it instills all kinds of bizarre nightmares within children being chased to be devoured by food.
Fried eggs,
shivering fried eggs. But you know that if you got some pepper, you're all right. You can just throw it out there and he'll jiggle for a while and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't know. The animation of that walking wiener just cracks me up. It does.
Walking wieners always make me laugh.
Exactly. Oh, I totally missed that. My video game characters look like genital spit. I should have thrown it in. Walking wiener.
But yeah, Karate Champ is pretty awesome.
That's right.
That's probably their first real standout. Like, we did something new and awesome.
Yeah, that game's pretty badass.
How does that exist in relation to Yaya Kung Fu?
Kung Fu. I know you're going to ask. Well, it actually has more than like 2 moves.
They play way differently because Karate Champ is 2 joysticks and in different combinations.
A shitload of combinations.
They do different things, and there's so many combinations. And as you start to figure them out, it starts to feel like intuitive, and you're like, "Whoa!" I mean, it's like Virtual On in a way because you're
as opposed to Yar Kung Fu, which is just jump, punch, kick,
right?
Whatever. Yeah. It was like a fighting game.
Okay, I can
very
see that.
strategic and tactical.
I mean, looking at later fighting games, clearly it could have been a lot better, but it did actually get most of that pretty early on.
Yeah, it was pretty smart. And in fact, I mean, we'll probably get to this. Capcom sued Data East for their Fighters History series.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we'll touch on that.
Okay, shall I describe this later, or shall I describe it now?
No, let's do it now, because if we're talking about Karate Champ, this is relevant. It's leaping ahead a little bit chronologically.
Because basically, Capcom came out with Street Fighter 2, and then Fighters History came out in 93, 1 year later. And Capcom, it was actually Capcom USA versus Data East USA, and Capcom claimed that Fighters History was a knockoff, and they were violating Capcom's IP by using dragon punches and stuff like that, and they felt that the control was similar. And Data East's defense was, well, we created the fighting genre, not you, when we made Karate Champ. And the judge found that in terms of, when comparing the 2 games, the similarities were very incidental, and that with their Karate Champ thing, and so Data East won that lawsuit.
Yep, had the last laugh in that, which is
they didn't have a lot of laughs in their
not a lot of laughs, so that was a good one for them.
Something kind of interesting about Karate Champ, now that I think back on it, is that it really did try to be a realistic simulation of karate. It didn't try to be like
there were no
superhero martial arts, right? Yeah, it was more like competition style karate.
Yeah,
where
it awarded you points.
Yeah, you had a judge and that's actually something you don't really see a lot in fighting games. I guess maybe because
I don't know. Do you really want like a realistic Taekwondo simulator where I scored a hit, we stop?
Well, I thought that. This is a bit weird, but I really liked Bariki 1 on the Neo Geo 64.
Did anyone actually play Neo Geo 64 games besides you?
I don't think so.
Yeah, my friend Vince, he's the composer of Flower. He also played Hyper Neo Geo 64.
Name dropper.
We both enjoy. Well, we were college pals, and so that was when we were discovering SNK. It kind of sounds like we were. And it's similar, but
it's almost as expensive anyway.
Indeed. But yeah, Bariki 1 was quite good. Very good simulation of Aikido and stuff. And then there the current MMA games, and there were the old K1 games as well. So there are some people like that.
And of course, there are other fighting games that have tried to incorporate some sense of realism, like Bushido Blades, damage-based disability system.
That's pretty cool.
I don't know if disability system is the way.
Disability system? Oh, I think that's wonderful. It's like I cut your legs, and now you have to crawl after.
And now you're a paraplegic.
But now you're eligible for government assistance.
You can park wherever you want, but
not in feudal Japan. You're eligible for getting
Bushido Blade
shunned.
wasn't in feudal Japan. It was modern day because there's a dude in the sewers.
It was more
who
like
shoots
in
at you.
futile Japan.
LOL.
LOL Zors.
Oh, sounds
well, they
like
did
one
have
of those
the mode
parody
where
games from The
people's
Simpsons.
costumes were more period and less ridiculous, but I don't think that actually changed the storyline.
So Data East.
Yeah, I think Karate Champ was definitely that sort of neat sort of,
No.
Well, it was a segue into what was to come. It played well. It was smooth. It had smooth animation and stuff like that. And then after that,
it was inventive also.
Yeah. After that, they immediately went into the NES era and started doing their NES and arcade stuff.
Yeah, what I meant to say was, it was sort of a simulation sort of game in that way. But then they moved on to like these, comparatively
ridiculous
stupid,
bullshit.
rock stupid beat 'em ups and stuff like that.
And Karnov and Atomic Runner Chelnov and
of course, Bad Dudes.
Yeah.
Versus Dragon
Ninja. So good.
Which I've never actually played, despite that being one of those, hilarious touchstones of the NES era.
Yeah.
Somehow I always missed out on that one. Well, I think because it was called Bad Dudes, and I said,
that would do it.
It's a shinobi style fight on two levels, like up and down thingy.
I think the original Bad Dudes cover might have been alienating too. I mean, it's just, I really want to help
like
these two frat boys.
It's two bad dudes. There's like dudes, and they're bad.
People played Double Dragon. They didn't care about, but they looked a little more like martial arts.
Have like a red plastic cups.
Yeah, Bad Dudes basically described what Double Dragon was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Double Dragon, the characters kind of looked like they escaped from the Kevin Bacon dancing scenes in Footloose. Bad Dudes didn't have quite that same kind of harmless 80s quiche to it.
Right. Well, they definitely had the Warriors jacket vest thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
There was that.
I guess so.
That was definitely more pronounced in Crude Buster.
Crude Buster.
Where you go and you punch oil until it's refined.
Yeah. Also known as Two Crude Dudes.
Okay. Dudes. I have heard of that.
That was much more bright, hyper-futuristic, in a way, 80s stuff. And
the future of the 80s was so much cooler.
Like pretty much all the first enemies are like just bearded leotard types.
Yeah, actually, Ray, you have a feature coming up at the end of the week basically talking about how the future was cooler in the 80s, right? Something along those lines.
Something a little bit along those lines.
Well, guys actually had beards and leotards at the same time.
Have you been to the Castro?
Future now, but only in certain places.
Yeah, but you don't want to fight them because they're probably stronger than you.
You spend your evenings at Truck or whatever, then you might run into
the manhole.
Yeah, or that.
I think this may be a controversial thing to say, but I think the game that really put Data East on the map was RoboCop.
Oh yeah, what the arcade?
Oh yeah,
game?
the arcade game was.
Yeah.
I could actually play...
not that good, but I love it.
It was actually that good because it was one of those games. If you really, really got into it, you could play through it on a quarter.
Really?
You could drop a quarter in that thing and play through the whole fucking game if you knew what you were doing.
That is one of those games, along with the original Goonies, that was on a cocktail cabinet,
right?
At a pizza place.
Rats or whatever.
No, it was on a cocktail cabinet, like one of the cocktail cabinets at a pizza place that my family would go to like every Sunday after church. Mm-hmm. So I played RoboCop nonstop, like for a couple of years, maybe like 2 years, until they finally moved out.
You never quite got the hang of it, huh?
I don't know. I would alternate between that and the Goonies on the Play Choice 10 because that was something I couldn't play on NES, and I was like, "There's an NES game."
Yeah, the fact that
I don't understand. I felt cheated, so I spent a lot of time playing Goonies, and also they had the G.I. Joe Konami game and 1943. Right. So RoboCop was kind of in circulation. That with Toki.
RoboCop was one of those games where if there was an arcade and there were a shitload of games that I'd rather be playing, but I knew I'd be playing for like 30 seconds on a quarter, as opposed to RoboCop, I could be sitting there for a goddamn hour. I would always go to
I would
RoboCop.
always get to the ED209 and end up dying.
That's like the end of the first stage. You fight ED209 every time. Sometimes he's green. That's the difference.
I never got the hang of it. I don't know.
In Sharky's view, RoboCop was a good value.
Yes, it was. Yeah. That was pretty much it. I don't think it was...
In my view, it had really nice graphics.
It did. It looked okay. I'll give it that. And it had the voice samples.
No, like when you pulled out your gun, RoboCop's little leg would go and open up and you take the gun out.
I liked how he insisted on not pulling out his goddamn gun until halfway through the stage, though, and there was no button to make him stop being stupid.
Yeah, that was weird.
But
well, he's a cop. He can't shoot without,
until people have been shooting at him for a good 20 minutes.
Right,
well,
exactly.
no, he has to fire paperwork for every single round he fires.
So you can do it very quickly.
Speaking of RoboCop 2, that's where Data East earned some cameos. There's that arcade scene in RoboCop 2.
Yeah,
I've never
apparently
seen that.
Right, yeah.
It's something like,
Did he put somebody's head through one of them? Like Narc was there, I think?
Bad Dudes and then Sly Spy. I actually looked this up last night.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Narc was in the Ninja Turtles movie. I'm getting them all mixed up.
And also they didn't make Narc.
Yeah, well, there's that too.
Yeah.
So am I thinking wrong when I think that there actually was a RoboCop machine in RoboCop 2?
That would have been cheerfully meta, but
somewhere in the frame.
I don't think there was.
Okay.
Well, maybe.
That would have been more memorable, I think.
Yeah. That would be pretty awesome, though. I would approve of that.
Well, thanks.
Go product placement. Good on them.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, what else?
So how exactly did RoboCop put Data East on the map? I mean, of course I played it, but I feel like I'd already played some of their games before that. There wasn't anything specifically notable about RoboCop that leapt out at me. Did Data East even make the NES port of RoboCop?
No. Sunsoft did actually. Or am I thinking?
I think Data East published it.
Where's Frank?
Please. Yeah, exactly. Dang it.
He's at home
Frank.
sick.
Let's call him right now.
I don't know who made the NES port. Whoever did should be punched in the mouth.
It was me. Oh wait, no, it wasn't me.
Well, okay.
No, I'm just kind of curious to know why you think that was like the one title that you would point to.
I think it was widely distributed.
It was their first big license title, that's for sure.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm not saying RoboCop was awesome.
It didn't break any new ground or anything.
No.
It was okay. It was passable, but it
had
was a
gun
major
that came out of your
license and it
leg.
got
Did I
around.
mention that?
What was that?
I said it had a gun that came out of your leg.
That helps.
After that, their licensing division pretty much focused entirely on pinball because they were
like the late 80s, early 90s, they
pinball.
made a shitload of pinball machines.
Yep.
That was like their main thing. They made the Guns N' Roses pinball machine.
They did.
I love that thing.
And they made some that were actually quite good. I really liked Hook.
I never played the Hook one.
We've got one in my
I played the
office.
Simpson machine though. I think they did that one.
I feel like we totally skipped over something important. We skipped over Kid Nicky, Radical Ninja.
Aw, we'll help you.
Did we?
We did.
There's a lot of stuff.
With a tire iron, apparently.
It looked more like a tire jack.
Yeah, it did. I don't know what he was doing with that thing, but yeah, it looked.
It never really seemed attached to anything on his hand.
It was just sort of spinning in space.
And if you hit the boss the wrong way, it would go flying off. And
also, that kid fucking hates owls.
Yeah. Well, I would hope so, because they're the worst video game enemy ever.
Yeah. He knows he's going to go against them at some point. If they're not diving him now, they will later. So.
Oh, Brandon, I think one Medusa head can't really compare to like a variety of different birds that there are to just fly and smack you in the head.
It's that bird versus ninja thing that carried over into Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what it is, but birds.
Well, I think this was probably the initiation of the hostilities because those birds are minding their own damn business. They were essentially like the candles in Castlevania. They were just hanging out, and this kid walks up, beats the shit out of them. That's why they were dive bombing
just like
for the next 20 years.
I guess that's true. A little bit of poetic justice.
The origin of the enmity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Screw Kid Nicky. God, that was a terrible
I don't
game.
know. I borrowed it from a friend, played through it in a night, and said, "Okay."
No, that was
But
one of those.
it's stuck with me. I guess because I didn't play it a lot. I played it just enough to finish it, and then I.
No, it's
never
one of those
touched
things
it
I would
again.
save up money like through the week so I could rent a game over the weekend. And whenever I got something like Kid Nicky, I felt ripped off. Like I must have done something wrong.
Well, the tragic thing is that they made better sequels
Yeah.
for NES.
There were
in
3
Japan.
sequels, and
Yeah.
I had
apparently
no idea,
they're all
really?
really good.
Yeah.
Or at least by
Compared to the
Yancha
first
Maru 4, they were really good.
Mm-hmm. It's too bad. Really.
Is that what it's called?
Ninja Yanchamaru Kun.
Yanchamaru.
Yanchamaru.
Well, Kid Nicky, Radical Ninja. I
Yeah.
guess that's close enough.
The third Yanchamaru game is also like a fairly common Mario pirate game. Where they just turned him into Mario, or with the Mario head. Yeah, you may have seen that around.
I didn't
don't
know that, but
I don't know if you ever see something like Ninja Mario Magical Fancy or something, then you'll know what that is. Oh.
you mean it's not just my dreams come true?
Is there
No.
a dating segment?
No, unfortunately.
Stash ride. I'm waiting for us to get out of the NES era so that I'll have things to say.
The NES era was so good. I didn't even mention Karnov.
You can talk through the entire thing with excellent commentary. I wish I could remember what his name is right now. It's something
Is
like
this another Let's Play on YouTube?
Red Dog or something. No, it's not stupid. It's
Okay.
It's more like he's playing through it and he's like, now here what you want to do is stay to the left because these guys will come and get you and blah blah blah. He's like actually giving
Here's your
you
ideal strategy to
Yeah.
defeat Yoda in a nest.
Yes, he's properly describing how you should get through it. It's quite useful and very
Use a
interesting.
ladder here.
Is this something on archive.org?
No, it's on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
You can find it on there. Mm-hmm.
You know what else? Funnily enough, a Data East game has been recently revived.
Bunch of them have.
Glory of Heracles.
Yep.
Oh, is that
right.
Data East?
Yeah,
it
it was.
sure is.
Yeah, started on the Famicom.
Yeah, it started on the Famicom.
Yeah.
Now, one of the few Data East licenses that went to Paon instead of
Peon or whatever the hell they're
whatever
called. Yeah,
whatever you
but
call
it
it,
was-
instead
was
of
some-
Gmode.
Yeah, it was some mobile company that picked up almost everything.
Yeah, Gmon or whatever the hell.
Peon.
And it was originally like a Dragon Quest style game,
Mhm.
and now it's more of a, well, I guess more like Dragon Quest looks now.
No, to me, it seems more like a Golden Sun type game or something along those lines. Kind
Yeah.
of, yeah. I don't know what I've seen of the DS game.
Mhm.
It kind of says Camelot to me.
I could see
be
that.
mistaken.
Originally, the thing that I noted about the earlier versions is that you have your whole party following behind you, and you can have like 6 dudes, and you're just walking in a circle, and they're all snaking around you. I always liked that.
Yeah.
I would make them walk over fire and stuff like that. And I'm like, aha, you're on fire. You suck. But they
Yeah.
weren't really on fire.
Those games were apparently like really well loved in Japan, but never
Yeah.
saw the light of day here.
Surprise, kind of like
Until recently.
kind of
Yeah.
like Metal Max.
Right, that was
That's right.
one of their major licenses.
Yep.
That's right, we got Metal Saga
So
for PS2.
now, does anybody know what the fuck is the deal with Karnov? Seriously, who the hell conceived of this?
He's
Awesome
a
people?
large
Apparently.
circus strongman.
Yeah, I know, I got that, but to have a mascot platformery thing, and we're going to expand that
a
maybe into
large
some fighting
fat,
games later.
bald Russian.
Yeah, so he's going to be a big fat guy with horrible scars. If you remember the Neo Geo games, you know that guy looked horrific.
Well, I mean,
But-
it's not like any or many of the other characters that other people created were that normal, like friggin' Toki or
Was it just like going with formula? Like we know fat foreigners work, so let's
Right.
just
I mean,
change the
he's just
country
kind of
origin.
a more realistic take on Mario, honestly.
Or just
Yeah.
more Russian. I think
if
because
we
Russia's
had
more
a
realistic
fat
than anywhere.
mustached guy, what would he look like? Oh, he would
like
look like
spicy
this.
food and
Yeah. But let's not make him Italian. Let's make him Russian.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, this is coming from the era when Japan was like, let's just do this. And then they did. And I miss those days because
The
nowadays...
shit against the wall era?
Nowadays,
Bubble era.
Nowadays,
is what it was
nobody
technically
would
called.
ever make a game that starred somebody like that. They'd be like, all right, bald Space Marine, and he's going to be bald.
No,
in
in Japan, it would be
like, what's up, bro?
14-year-old girl.
All right,
11.
how do we make a bald Space Marine? Okay, he's going to be 15, and he's going to be bald. He's going to be in space.
Eyeliner.
But he's going to have gorgeous clothes. But no, Japan is trying
This
to
works
make
for
bald
Western
Space Marines.
games.
They just
but
can't do
you're
it
just
yet.
going to superficially imitate it.
They're trying to figure it out.
And then they give up and they turned it into a dating sim.
Yeah, because they ran out of money, then they go bankrupt. And that's Japan.
That's great, though. I'd love to see like a cargo cult version of Quake that's become a dating sim.
Yeah.
Wow, I just went blank. Well,
Sorry.
that's okay.
Anyway, then they made pinball machines for a long time.
Pinball.
Some of those
I have
are
a
good.
whole bunch of games to talk about.
Really?
Did Data East actually make any dating sims, or did they
They did not
mercifully
make
die
them.
before?
No,
that
they
era
didn't. They
began?
didn't make them. They published one or two, but they didn't really.
Yeah.
They didn't really get into it too much. But this was when they were like. So after 1999, they were in a real bad space, and they
didn't they
restructured.
Did they either publish or make one of the fairly decent Shadowrun games?
Nintendo,
The Super Nintendo
Super
one was good.
Nintendo
That's right.
Shadowrun. It was.
But it was some
developed
other outfit
by
that made it that
Beam somebody
Yeah,
in
right.
Australia.
who made like a bunch of other really crappy games. This is like a strange thing.
Right.
That stands
But
out in my
hey,
mind, but-
Shadowrun.
Shadowrun.
You're right. Thank you for bringing that up. I was going
Making
to
like
as
the
well.
lone good Shadowrun game.
Right.
Good on you guys.
Well, people have a soft spot for the Genesis one too.
yeah, I don't.
All right. No.
Well, you're
There
not
goes that.
people.
Yeah, well, I know that. Anyway, I'm sorry. You wanted to jump forward to 1999?
Oh, I was. Just,
I mean, yeah, we can move on if anybody.
no, we don't have
has
to talk
any
about
other
99. I got a lot.
specific games.
I want to talk about Cliffhanger Edward Randy, which is the coolest Data East game that nobody has played because it never got ported to a system. There was a Saturn port in the works. Never
That's
happened.
not the same as Cliffhanger, is it?
the
No,
okay.
The one that reuses Castle of Cagliostro animation?
no. This is this.
Okay.
It. I should
and
say
not
thi-
anything that involves Sylvester Stallone.
this is the Cliffhanger Edward Randy. It has like 1940s adventure style, like poster artwork, and it's
So
just
Indiana
got-
Jones ripoff.
It's just it's kind of Indiana. You've got a whip, obviously because you have to, and and he uses this whip to like latch onto things and spin around in circles and
Oh, it's
destroy
got a
everything on
grapple.
screen.
You'll love
I
it,
know.
Jeremy.
Yeah, and it's
I'm already salivating.
it's got like huge, ridiculously huge sprites scaling and rotating everywhere. Everything's exploding. You're like fighting it from plane to plane and like jumping on cars that are falling off of cliffs. And
so this
it's
was like in early 90s.
1990.
Okay. Wow.
And it's just such an awesome game. And in fact, it
And this is
influenced.
an arcade game that never saw stateside.
Right. That's the trouble. But you can play it on MAME, and you should, or you should just look up how it looks because, like, the first level, you're fighting on these planes, and you're like spinning around on the propellers and stuff like that, and there are these gigantic waves coming up and crashing as you're going by, and they're just huge. And I love like simulated 3D using 2D sprites, and
Right.
in the second stage, jeeps that are racing toward the screen.
Oh, I see. So it's doing the scaling and the raster road
Super
effect.
Yes,
Scaling.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
Is that
doing
what
all,
it's called?
Super Scalar. Well, that was Sega's
Yeah.
terminology.
and it's doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and it plays well, and it's just fun. I actually didn't know about it until 2 years ago when I was in a Japanese arcade, and I was like, oh, I'll play this for
So this is
50
the
yen.
Cliffhanger starring James Randi or whatever.
The Cliffhanger Edward Randy.
Okay.
Yes.
I've heard of this game, but I always get it conflated in my head with the Ernest Evans games, which is probably a mistake.
Right. They're different, but I could see how you. I mean, I'm sure that Ernest Evans was influenced by this, and some other games. I can't remember what used the same like level subtitles as this, and Edward Randy appeared in some other game because I guess people really liked this, but only in Japan because that's the only place it was. It was really amazing, and I wish that it had come out here, and it still hasn't gotten ported to a system, and it should.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. And then
We could.
which I think was actually a really underrated fighter.
I always get this mixed up
You
with
know
World
what?
Heroes in my head. I know
Yeah.
that's something else.
We definitely will. But first, I want to go back to the pinball thing,
Okay.
which is where Data East really had its big American operation, I would say, was
Yeah.
that all the pinball stuff.
Mhm.
And then the pinball company decided to make a video game,
Yes.
and that was called Tattoo Assassins.
Oh, motherfucker. Oh, really?
You know, Gmode
right.
Gmode actually owns the rights to
That's
Tattoo
right.
Assassins.
Yes, they do. And okay,
So that's coming to a
Oh,
telephone
man.
near us.
Did you find that that one
Probably
blog
not.
the one of the guys who was working on that game wrote that went on and on and on a bit? It's
That
pretty much
was-
just
that
like a
was-
detailed
that
inside
was-
history of.
That was actually Street Fighter Arcade.
Am I getting it
pretty
mixed up?
sure.
I thought there was
think-
no somebody wrote something on Tattoo Assassins.
No,
Really?
I think there's a post
Yeah.
out there on Tattoo Assassin.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Also,
so yeah, Tattoo Assassins, just a brilliant game. Really, it's one of those great Mortal Kombat clones, except that all the combatants have these giant powers and stuff like that. And the entire story, the story of the characters, was all written by Bob Gale from Back to the Future trilogy.
I didn't know that part actually.
true.
Also, did it ever actually come out?
No.
But
Yeah, because
is
it was in development for like 5 years.
pretty much, yeah. It also featured OJ's then girlfriend Gretchen Stockdale as one of the characters in that game, and yeah, it did not actually reach production because who knows what all sorts of fuck uppery, but there is the ROM out there, and you can play that in MAME as well.
No, this is on the must play list.
Yes, absolutely.
It's one of the most consistently hilarious fighting games ever made.
it's it's one of the digitized
Yes.
games.
Oh,
very,
yeah.
very Mortal Kombat
Very.
style. Right?
Oh yes.
It's somebody like scribbled over all the frames of the MS Paint at some point.
Yeah, I mean,
It's true.
Yeah, that's the
Definitely
thing.
drawn on top
These
of.
tattoos don't really look anything like real tattoos. I mean, they need to look
Occasionally,
big and
somebody would have
bold.
like an eagle come to life off his chest. Except
my
it was
God.
like your 12-year-old was trying to draw a bird on him.
Final Fantasy 13.
Oh God.
Lol.
Characters all have tattoos that come to life and turn into
Wow, I think we have a headline. It doesn't matter if there's a story in there. People will click on it.
Yay.
So yeah, that was the
come play the prequel to Final Fantasy 13.
Let's make a blog.
See, you're good at this.
Yeah, so that was one of the, in fact, the only attempt by the Data East pinball arm to try and make a video game.
So
I didn't realize they did that.
Ill-advised.
So
But they had
Data
made
East, was that like the only video game Data East ever produced in the U.S.?
I believe so. I mean,
Is this the one where all the characters had names that like sounded like American gladiators?
sure, yeah.
They had like
There's
Blaze and Razor and
What, you
Ice
mean
and-
like Sonya Blade didn't?
Okay, sure, that's fair. At least she had a first name.
Jax, come on.
Okay.
Oh, it's Stockdale. It was like Hannah Red or something like that. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. It was also it's very comparable to Way of the Warrior in that sort of look as well for 3DO.
Don't remember.
I don't remember
Kasumi
Way of the
Ninja
Warrior.
kinda-
I remember Kasumi
Yeah,
Ninja.
Kasumi.
That was my favorite fighting game with an Inuit in it. I think his name was Pawaka. And there was a guy named Angus.
Kilt fireballs for Angus.
Yes.
Lifts up his kilt and the fireball comes out because he's Irish or Scottish.
Whatever the fuck he was
No,
supposed
in
to
the
be.
game he was probably Irish.
Yeah, in the game he probably was Irish.
It's close enough, right?
No, he's
They're on the
not.
same island.
Yeah.
Norwegian. They have kilts.
According to the
Maybe.
Mortal Kombat Techno
He
album.
turns into a whale because Wales is right there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Narwhal,
And Sub-Zero is a Chinese ninja warrior.
mythical beast of the
With
sea.
a heart so cold.
Uh-huh.
We should splice that song in.
You got it. Oh, those halcyon days. Anyway, excuse me.
Among my favorite days.
Yeah.
Anyway,
this
and
was
then
after-
shortly after they went bankrupt. We can just skip straight to that.
It wasn't that
so
short
there's no mystery.
after, but
No, I want to go back to Fighter's history. Let's do that right now. I
Okay.
mean, we already touched on that, the whole episode where Capcom sued Data East in the US because they alleged that in some ways it kind of was.
yeah.
I mean, those characters do look really similar. There's the Guile-looking guy and the Ryu-looking guy.
I wouldn't say they look so similar, but they do a similar thing where they've got two main characters that are basically like a paladin hair swap.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Karate Champ.
Yeah.
There are two guys in gis. One's
There you
red,
go.
one's white. There is that. But it was all. I guess it was maybe one of those things where it was one of the first knockoff games that was using like, quarter circle forward. That
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
kind of the first blatant.
I think the real reason they sued is because Fighter's history was popular. Like, hadn't Martial Champion already come out from Konami or something like? I don't know.
What the hell was
Possibly.
Martial Champion?
That's a crappy game that they made.
I never heard of that one.
Wait, did they make? No, they didn't make that one. Konami made a different one. Martial Champion is made by.
I thought that was Konami.
Maybe. Yeah. Okay. Maybe it was. I'm confused right now. But anyway,
I never got any sense that Fighter's history was popular. But then again, I
once-
was really young. So
Once people got into it, was actually popular in terms of sales.
okay.
And then people got back into it later. I mean, Street Fighter obviously obliterated it, but people got back into it later when they realized just how like crazily combo heavy it was, because they didn't really avoid infinites or things like that. And it was the first fighting game that I know of that had breakable stuff, like your clothes would break. And like your armor would come off, stuff like that happened. And there was recently, like 4 or 5 years ago, there was a really awesome combo video released. It was as part of a larger combo video by this DVD company whose name I love, Insanity Naked Hunters.
I remember that.
Yeah, and you can find the video actually now on YouTube, a video of Fighter's History all character combo exhibition. You should look it up. It's really why anyone would appreciate that game, because it's just like, wow, what is going on? Is it
just like
super crazy,
super infinites all over the place? Or?
It's not like super infinites, but it's just pretty amazing compared to Street Fighter 2 at the time, how long you could keep a combo going. And it was, I don't know, it's worth taking a look at just to.
But it's no Killer Instinct.
No, it's not. I hated that game.
I just mean in terms of infinite combos.
No, I know. I knew what you meant, but
Saber
Dial-up
Wolf.
combo.
Back forward, back forward, back forward, back forward. That was hard.
Another game I would like to talk about is another game that got picked up not by Gmode, is Jake Hunter, aka Tankei Jinguji Saburo.
I'm actually surprised you brought this up, because I wouldn't mind talking about it as well.
Okay, well, according to Enterbrain, the series has sold 2,220,000 copies, and that's currently made by WorkJam, who also made Theresia. And
So that's 2.2 million copies across how many platforms or how many games?
5.
That's not too bad.
No, it's not. I might be wrong about 5. It might be a few more. And probably some of them were ported around, but it started. Where did it start, on the Famicom Disk System or something? It's
That's right, and
probably it's definitely one of the most successful adventure games of all time.
that's right. It's a series of detective adventures starring Saburo Jinguji, who became Jake Hunter more recently in America.
Is this one of those kind of storyboardy manga Japanesey things?
It's like Snatcher or something.
Okay, yeah, so like that.
Yeah.
Right. It is sort of more mature, I suppose, in the fact that the main character can take a smoke break and collect his thoughts, and that's how you get hints in the game. And
yeah, and
Does it restore your health?
no,
That's only for Galgo 13. You have to be
I thought sex did that.
badass. Well, smoking too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You can find packs of cigarettes
Well,
just littering the Parthenon or whatever, and take a
If you
smoke.
do both, ashtray on her back.
Jinguji Saburo was more like a hard-boiled detective style.
Okay.
And Jake Hunter doesn't really necessarily do it justice, because it's not really made by the original dudes. But it's interesting how many Data East, kind of obscure Data East series